Hey gamers, it's summertime, so we're going to review sun, sea, and sand. Let's check it out. To set up for the game, each player is going to have their own little player board here. You're going to have these little beach tokens that are going to be in between each player. So if there are 3 players, you have a beach token here, a beach token here, and a beach token between these 2 players as well. You're going to start off with 3 little markers here. Your other 2 markers will start in the week 1 spot here, and your money counter will start at 13. Here, setting up the board, you're going to shuffle and deal out these little ship strips here. They are front and back, so there's a lot of replayability here, but you'll deal out 8, and depending on the number of players, depends on how far the ship will be. So that's for a 2-player game, 3-player game, which is what I have set up. And of course, as you see, 4-player game could even be wider. You would just pull this second piece back there. So lots of replayability in this game. After that, you're going to take all these tiles and put them in their corresponding areas here, and you'll put as many tiles as there are players in the game, because each player can get at least just one of each one of these. And so once you've done all of that, then you are ready to start the game. Now this game is very simple. How it works is basically just worker placement. You have these little 3 workers, and you're going to place them on the 3-week, 2-week, or 1-week track and perform an action. You could also place them on the boats as well. So first action, let's say if I placed it right here on the 3-week track, what I could do is I could buy one of these attractions. Now, as you see, there's a money track here that goes from a low amount over to a high amount. What that means is the first person to buy a, let's say I bought a bar here. I'd buy one for $4. Well, then I'd slide all the rest of the pieces down one, meaning, hey, the price for this bar now is now $5, because now that I have one, every resort wants one. So the price will go up the longer you wait on buying these. So if you're the first to buy them, you'll get it for the cheapest price, but then it gradually increases. Now when you buy one of these, you have to place it on your board and use this over to the leftmost side. Of course, it has to match the color of the resort it's representing. So I'd place it right down here. Okay, and as the game goes by, let's say I want to get a little refreshment station there. I could also put it right here, or instead I could put it catty-cornered away from red. Now, why would I want to do that? Leave a gap there. Well, these gaps will represent victory points at the end of the game. If you can make some gaps in your resort, because no one likes an a full resort, I guess. So maybe my board eventually would look something like that. Now also I should mention that these count for victory points at the end of the game too. Of course, the long ones would be worth more victory points than the small ones. The small ones would probably be about half that much, if that. Except for the bar is the only thing that's different. It has a $sign in there, and I'll get to what that means in a minute. So anyway, that's buying little activities for your resort, whatever it may be. And you can only buy one of these, per resort. So I couldn't buy another tennis court if I had one. And then of course I'd move my little money tracker, down. Let's say that thing costs, what was that? I bought the bar for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'd be at the 9 spot there. Anyway, so that's kind of how it would work there when you're buying activities for your resort. So the next thing you can do is you can buy a hut. So if you put it at the 2-week spot there, you can buy huts, and the game will tell you, hey, for 1 hut it's worth $1, 2 is $3. To get 3 houses, spend $6, and get 4 houses, spend $10. Now the huts come in these little cardboard tokens here, 2s and 1s. Let's say I wanted to spend $6 and buy 3. I'd always put my little huts in this little corner area here, and of course I go down another 6 there for buying all those. Now huts are what you need to get guests to come and stay in your resort, because as another action I could do, I could place my token anywhere on here and get those types of people. So for instance, let's say I place it here, I would get a red, a yellow, and a blue person. Now there are 4 different types of visitors here, and they made different meeples for each one. They really didn't have to do this, but they did anyway, and that's really cool there. But anyway, I would get 3 of those, and let's say these were the 3 I got here, and I'd put them in their little houses there. Now, what happens, let's say I did get a blue guy in this one. Well, I couldn't fit him in there because I only got 3 houses, so he would just have to go away. I couldn't keep him or keep him on reserve. I'd have to just throw them away. So you want to be careful about who you want to get and what attractions you have for those colors, because later on it's going to come into play. But anyway, as another action I could have done if I had an extra token, I could, for 1 week, placed on the 1 week, I could buy a sign for my hotel. Signs are free basically, but you're paying an action to use them. And there's 4 different signs here. You start with the welcome, then open, then hotel, and then this little bed. As you see, they have the little sun marker on it, a one sun marker. These are worth 1 victory point at the end of the game, and again, you would put them at the top of your board. Now, why would you do this for a measly 4 victory points? Well, there are some times where you are trying to get some actions here, and maybe you're out of money. You can be broke in this game. So, man, maybe I can't get any more guests. I have enough. I don't have any money for huts or attractions. So as not to waste your move, you can just play one there and grab a sign. At least it gives you a victory point. So that's kind of why it got created. Anyway, after that's all said and done, then you're going to add up all the guests in your resort. And any guests you have in your resort count as money. So I have 3 guests in my resort. I'd move up the track 1, 2, 3 once again because I have that money. Now, at the end, you would discard any of these people. So let's say I didn't have the tennis courts here. Let's say this is all I had. Well, green I have nothing else for him, so he's just going to leave. He ends his vacation. But red's like, hold on. I think I'm going to check out this swanky little bar here. And the guy's got, ooh, yeah, or I'll go a refreshment station over here. Now, what that does is on the next round, when I get new people into my huts here, I can count these people as well as these people. And if they're in a bar, they count as an extra double. So any reds, in this case, would count, this guy would count for $2, $3, $4, $5. So that's kind of how you can keep guests at your resort, is by adding attractions. And on the next turn, yellow would leave because there's nothing else for him, but red would say, hey, I'm going to do some fine dining while I'm here. So and then of course blue would say, hey, I'm going on this nice little cruise ship here. All right, so that's kind of how it kind of works. And maybe I did have my tennis court available for green to stay around. So you want as many resorts of those colors as you can get, because that way it keeps these people around and helps you generate income, which helps you buy wonderful stuff. Now, on top of all of this, there is another action you could have done. You can actually make reservations at your resort by choosing a cruise ship that is at least 2, 3, or 4 spaces away. This is the cruise ship number 1, and it even says this on the side. You can't see it, it's probably too small, but it says 1 through 8. So this is the only cruise ship that's accepting guests right now. But if I wanted to later on, maybe I want to play one here. And so that means I grab a red and a yellow for next week. And as you see, we have a calendar here, 2, 3, and 4 week calendar. I'd place it right there. That means after the next round, when these people would move on, these people hop right in. And as you can see, you can get up to 4. You can't go to 5. You can't go to 5 weeks. You can't make reservations that far out. But as ships will sail and everything falls up, you will eventually have access to future cruise ships, but it also enables you to plan better on what you want your resort to be by then. So a lot of gameplay in this, and I really like it. So anyway, one of the things you get to do after everyone has placed out all their workers, then the backpacker comes into play. You see there's this at the tip of the ship, you have a backpack and a little meeple. You may never place it and claim this guy here. He is a random person, and so what happens is, let's say it's a yellow, we get a yellow guy, he is the backpacker. We look at the person who has the lowest amount. Let's say there's another player that has 2, orange player has 2. So starting at orange player's resort, he would move 1, 2 around the board clockwise. And if he stops on another resort and there's room for him, he's going to stay there. So that person would get a resort. If he stops on the beach, he's just going to bum there on the beach until the next round. If he stops at a resort that is full and can't take him, then that resort has to pass on him, and then he just jumps to the next beach and just waits the next turn. And so you could have 2 or even 3 hitchhikers or backpackers moving around the board here at any time to maybe fill in one of those empty huts that you couldn't fill in earlier on one of the cruise ships. After you decide the backpacker and you get all your money, then that's when you're going to advance to the next round. So what that means is all of these would shift down. So the 1 weeks would come back into your hand, 2 weeks would move to 1, 3 weeks would move to 2. If there are any tokens here on this ship gets removed, and all the other ships move up into that spot. Now, you would, of course, get this one back if this was where it was played. However, if I had it on a reserved one, it would have to stay there until that ship, shipped out. Remember last time I took that red and that yellow guy, so my token would already be there. It would not come back to me until that ship is gone from the board. So you could be dealing with, 3 actions, 4 actions, 2 actions, 1 action. Again, that's why not to waste an action, you can build a sign and you'll get that recruiter back to you, plus a point at the end of the game. How this game ends is after the 8th ship has sailed off, you're going to add up all your points. Any meeples that you have left over in your area, they don't count for money now, they count for victory points. And then of course the signs count for victory points, any attractions count for victory points, and any empty spaces in your resort would also count for victory points. So in this case, this example, I would have 1, 2, 3, 4, and this would make 5. I have 5 extra bonus points just by having 5 extra empty spaces in my account. And of course, whoever has the most victory points wins. Final thoughts, what do I think about the game? Well, folks, I forgot to mention that the first player token is a seashell that's an actual shell from, I guess, one of those souvenir shops, kind of polished over a little bit, but it is a actual seashell. That's really cool. Is it necessary? Not really, but oh well. But anyway, pleasantly surprised by this game. You can get this game for fairly cheap, and it's a fantastic game. There's a lot of replayability. The pieces are really good. The theme is definitely there. You're trying to build a resort that everyone will want to stay at, that will make you enough money. You're booking rooms in advance on those cruise ships that are coming in. I really was surprised by this game, and this was a brilliant game. This is one of those games you want to play a couple of times to see what different strategies you can get there. But I absolutely adore it. In fact, if you want to know the color scheme on it, it actually shows you here on the board. You got the green area, the grassy area, then red is the brick, of course yellow is the sand, and blue is the beach. So there actually is a theme in that color code too. The theme really drips out of this game, and that's really what I love about it. Plus, I mean, all the different actions you can do. That worker placement thing where you have to wait a few weeks. If you make the big purchase, you may have to wait a few weeks to get your players back. It's just like Ektorp, another game that I really love, where your Vikings, if they get really injured, they're out for a few rounds. They're slowly making it up there. So a lot of cool mechanisms with this, and this game is super cheap to get. So if you feel it's for you, definitely check it out. I really do love this game. All right, folks, that's all the time for now. Until next time, game on!